Okay, so welcome once again, everyone. This evening, our presentation centers on the theme Design Your Financial Future. And by owning the value that creates it. If we're going to talk about designing our financial future, then naturally we're talking about building something. And if we're talking about future, then it has to be something that's going to be long term or something that's sustainable. And we really are going to be looking at a strategy for building sustainable wealth. We have gone beyond looking at opportunities to just make additional income that we can help pay some bills or put aside for a rainy day. We are going beyond that. We're looking at literally being able to design our financial future. That means we must have a plan. It means that we must have the wherewithal that we get to determine what that future is going to be like. And so I want us to just think about that for 1 second because the vast majority of us in the workforce, we don't really get to determine or design what our financial future is going to be because it's not within our control to determine our income. And that is essentially what we're going to be changing because we all need and we all deserve and we all want to get to that place where our later years are better. We want to get to that place where we can have the confidence and the assurance that down the road for our lives, our families, our children, and even their future, that financially things are secure. And why is this important? Because money is required to make anything and everything on this planet work. Money is the lifeblood that flows through our society. And the degree that it flows freely, to that degree, we're either going to be just struggling or growing financially. And so this is where we're going. We're talking about designing our financial future. It is prudent that I display this disclaimer because we are going to be talking about money and potentials of that. And I am not giving any financial advice or any investment recommendations. You may take a screenshot of this, particularly you may pause it if you're looking at a recording of this, but I'm just giving you educational and information that you can now make an informed decision. I want to present it in such a way that I hope to, in fact, that you can assign enough meaning and value in the information that you can make a decision about that. To be able to have context and to really plot our direction and to give some reference to it, I want to begin by looking at three economic realities. The first one I call the plantation economy. This is where income is based on effort. And where if effort should stop in this economy, it means that income stops as well. We basically function on a cyclical routine and it has little progress to it. It means that we feel like we are always doing and going and working even harder, but we don't seem to be making the type of progress that we want to. Our income is based on time and our output. There is really no ownership within the system. We just work within the system. Our financial security is fragile. Our opportunities are limited. And all that we pour in to this economy by the value we bring to the economy, it flows to the top. And those that own the systems, those that own the assets within the systems, they're the ones that benefit. So many are working, but few are prospering. And this is our cultural default, meaning we are all enculturated within this system, and this becomes our default norm. We don't see anything wrong with it, and it's really just life just surviving. And that's essentially where most of us and most of the world, this is where we live. The second economy is the sovereign economy. And this is where revenue is based on ownership. This is where you own assets, you own systems, you own infrastructure, and this is where wealth grows, whether you put effort in or not. Why? Because it's the assets, it's the systems that continuously generate the value. And so income is asset driven and revenue requires no effort. And this is where the wealth understands this very well. And wealth will accumulate over time without requiring more effort to make it happen. And ownership has always been and will always be the doorway into creating wealth. So we have to be able to move from a plantation economy and we have to be able to access sovereign economy. And in fact, those that understand and those that tap into the ownership principles of the sovereign economy are often the ones that own the systems and the infrastructure and the assets of the plantation economy. The third economy is the ecosystem economy. And this is where participation, everyone who participates within this economy, are all owners of the infrastructure and assets within it, and it provides a system of equality. In this ecosystem economy, everyone succeeds financially. Collective participation within this economy through collective ownership causes the value that's being brought to this economy, that value continuously and freely circulates to everyone who is within this economy. The inclusion drives collective prosperity. Everyone succeeds in this economy because everyone tap into the plantation and the sovereign economy. The principles of those economy that work are all at work together here. This is shared prosperity for everyone. So in effect, we are taking the plantation and the sovereign economy, and we are going to arrive at a place where 100% of the participants in the ecosystem economy succeed financially. So, are you saying to me that there are not a few within the ecosystem economy that won't make it financially? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Within a true ecosystem economy, where there is collective ownership, there is going to be shared prosperity, and there is zero people within this economy that will not succeed financially. Not everyone will succeed equally, of course, because it all depends on individual participations, the size of one's dreams and aspirations. But you can be assured that everyone within a true ecosystem economy, everyone will succeed financially according to their own level of participation. So, what we're going to be talking about this evening is how we're going to be moving and evolving from just surviving, which is the plantation economy. We're going to go past being able to access security all the way to collective prosperity. No more in the old systems where concentration, where the value concentrates to the top, where we're going to have values going to circulate throughout the economy. This is what I am presenting to you tonight. This is what we're offering everyone here to build and design and create your own financial future. How is it possible and how does this ecosystem economy work? It's built on the 5 economic laws of sustainable wealth, and this applies to every economy that exists on this planet. These principles are sound even philosophically and even spiritually. Now, we all bring value to the marketplace by our gifts, our talents, our skills, our knowledge, creativity, etc. And that is law number one. Value is created. And we bring that to the market, but in order for us to build it into sustainable wealth, we must own the value. That value starts with us. We need to own our own value at least. But the way how the system is set up in the plantation economy, we don't get to own that value because someone else determines what that value is worth. But we need to get to law number two, where we have to be able to have the choice. We have the sovereignty to choose how to increase that value, whether it is our personal value of our skills and talents, etc., or whether it is assets or something that we own that is of value or generates value. We have to be the ones that get to say what happens to that value, how it gets to increase. If someone else has the say in how value is increased, then we do not have control over our financial future. And therefore, we cannot be the architects that get to design what our financial future would be. It is imperative that we get to own and have that sovereignty to say how that value is going to increase, which opens up the potential to law number three, which is leverage. Then that is how we get to increase the productivity of that and scale it so that it can increase. But we need to do it without increasing effort. Effort, I mean, leverage is the ability to be able to increase the productivity without increasing the effort. And we use systems, we use resources that may be available to be able to do that. But once we can actually get that flow of efficiency going, it naturally flows into law number four, which is compound growth. Compound growth is where that increase of the value begins to accelerate in such a way that it endures over time, flowing naturally into law number five, which is stewardship. And stewardship is a central key. In fact, it's law number five, but it actually precedes law number one. Stewardship is where all that has been accumulated, all that has been built and increased, all that value is now allocated and distributed. That value flows back to the very beginning to the participants who brought the value back in. So what you're talking about is a self-sustaining loop. Value increases, it flows back, it increases again, and it flows back. And it's a continuous flow, a self-sustaining loop of continual increase. And this is how sustainable wealth is built in a true ecosystem economy. So sustainable wealth is the flow of value that is secured by ownership. It expands through leverage. It's accelerated by compounding, but it's preserved through stewardship. And this is what we are going to be tapping into and accessing. These laws are immutable laws, as immutable as gravity. You throw an object into the air, one thing will happen. It's going to fall back to the ground. If you connect these five laws together, one thing will happen. You're going to build wealth. So we're not talking about working harder to make things work. We're talking about tapping into systems and principles that will generate wealth for us once we can do this effectively. How are we going to do it? We're going to tap into owning the value of our financial future by what a company that myself, other partners on this call, and tens of thousands around the world, we represent an incredible company. It's called Metaterra, whose under their umbrella is a subsidiary, a fintech agency called Bellator. It's one umbrella with multiple sectors under that umbrella. And we're going to be talking about Metaterra and Bellator because they represent the future of digital finance. The world right now is going through a seismic shift. Some people are aware of it, others are sleepwalking through it and not aware that the entire global financial system is shifting right now, and we are emerging and evolving more and more into a digital reality of how finances work. And what defines this future of digital finance are things that you're going to be hearing about as this year progresses. And in the coming years, you're going to hear more about financial inclusion. And out of that flows equitable economics and into shared prosperity. These are buzzwords that you're going to hear unfolding as the future of digital finance unfolds. So when we start to talk about digital finance, just to bring those who may not be fully in the know that we are in a place now where here in the United States, I'm speaking to you from Florida, the Office of the Control of Currency, which is the federal agency that oversees the banks, the national banks across the country, they have now authorized all the banks to offer custody of cryptocurrencies and digital assets. And the legislation has been set in place. This is not an announcement that they made last year that has now come into place um, as an announcement. It's now in place as of the first of this month because all the banks are now have all set things in place to begin operating this way. And some banks have already begun to do that. And so this is just, I'm sharing a few articles in your own research and your own due diligence. You'll see the global banking network that we know as SWIFT. SWIFT reports that the central bank digital currencies and tokenized assets can integrate into the international financial ecosystem of the world. JP Morgan, the largest bank in the world, they have launched their digital currency last year. They're running their operations on blockchain platforms, in digital assets, tokenization, trading platforms. All the banks are now are set themselves in place to do that. Even major investment institutions like Charles Schwab and Fidelity, they now offer crypto investments. And the interesting thing is that Fannie Mae, for those who live in the United States, know that that's a federally funded institution that helps uh, mortgage companies, they help to finance mortgage lenders. They now are accepting cryptocurrencies as down payments for your homes and so on. So what I'm saying, this is just to give us a sense that the world that we are living when it comes to finance, it's not the same world anymore. When people hear cryptocurrencies, many are still walking around thinking that, well, that's something that's nebulous out there. Cryptocurrencies and digital currencies are now embedded into the framework of the global financial system. It's now legal tender. And what it's doing, it is reshaping the entire way the world is going to function. I want us to be aware that this is not just the financial system changing and monetary policies being upgraded. This is just like how the internet has changed how the entire world functions, this shift is going to change the entire way the world functions. Why? Because there are five components that are bringing major shifts. Technology, blockchain technology, which we know the advent of that started way back when Bitcoin first came out, but blockchain technology has now evolved to where blockchain is now the layer of value that is redefining how the internet is going to function. So just as how the world today can function without the internet, the world that we're evolving into is not going to be able to function without blockchain technology because it's now upgrading everything to be far more efficient, far more secure, and it has a lot more advantages. Tens of thousands of companies around the world are already migrating their businesses on chain because of the added advantages that it brings for commerce. We're talking about DeFi, which stands for decentralized finance, and that all has to do with digital currencies. The whole financial system, there's a lot of decentralization, meaning central authorities are now being removed in many aspects, and that changes the playing field. Then there's access to real world assets through a concept called tokenization. You're going to hear about that. That is perhaps going to be the engine that is going to shape the entire global financial landscape. Right now, every financial market in the world is shifting according to this thing called tokenization. But it introduces something very wonderful that a lot of people are not looking at. But because of these things, communities are now being empowered in ways that we did not have available to us before because of the access that is happening. And with it comes a new level of regulated oversight and governance. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I want us to take away from this shift because it relates particularly to you and I. Because of this shift that the world is going through right now, it is now making ownership of assets now available to everyone. And I mean assets that was out of reach before: gold, silver, oil, stocks, bonds that might have been out of reach that only certain people with capital and asset classes could reach. They're now in reach to pretty much anyone. That's a big, big thing that you have to wrap your mind around. But because of that, we can now access earning passive income daily and in a way that remains perpetual. It will run that way for life. Now, that's mind blowing right there to know that we can actually own assets that will pay us passive income. Because if we're talking about building and designing our financial future, we have to get to a place where we're not just working for money. You work only for money, you'll never do it. Money has to work for us. We have to have income in a way that does not require effort, and that's passive income. Not only that, but because of this shift, we get to decide how much that income could be. Can you imagine having that level of autonomy over your finances? You get to own the assets. You can now earn passively for life, but not you get to decide how much you want that income to be. You get to determine how sustainable it could be. We have never had this level of autonomy over our financial future before. And these are some of the things that people are missing. People are that are in the know are watching this major, a seismic shift in the financial system, looking at the changes in currencies and the monetary policies. And many of us are missing what it's bringing to the average person today. We have an opportunity to build generational wealth for the first time in modern history. We have never had opportunities like this before. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we need to be clear about it. No amount of hard work for income builds sustainable wealth. You need to own assets, you need to own systems, and we need to have money working for us. And that's where we're going. And that's what the ecosystem economy is going to be about. Metaterra, Bellator, which brings an opportunity to us, taps into all five of these elements we're talking about. And let's start by looking at governance, because if we're going to talk about building and designing our financial future, we need to know that the enterprise that's bringing this solution to us, we need to know that it's viable. We need to know that itself is sustainable. We need to know that it stands solid. And so, indeed, our company, our parent company, Metaterra Holding, it stands on a strong foundation. One of the strongest foundations a company with a global reach, which we have, could have, is being a publicly traded company. Our company is NASDAQ listed. It has already passed all that it need to pass. And the final stamp, which we have been waiting on these last couple of weeks, uh, is still to come because of the government shutdown. It got delayed. Now, why is this important? Because a publicly traded company is one that is compliant. Is accountable to the scrutiny of the authorities. It must make its operation, its finances publicly open and available. So, in other words, this is not a company that has things hidden under the hood that you don't know what's going on. And not just that, but even the executives of the company themselves have to be scrutinized and investigated before you can get to a place of being a publicly traded company. Now, the corporate governance, the strategic oversight, our compliance, our the level of trustworthiness that we have sets us apart from any other company in the digital blockchain, crypto industry that's out there right now. We have a global footprint with 13 logistic offices, with offices in 13 countries. The executive that is steering the ship. We have a world-renowned executive leadership, the visionary that started this almost 9 years ago, Hakan Turhan. He's from Cyprus. He's the visionary, the CEO, and the founder of the company that crystallized what we have today. He is partnered by Mr. Michael Thierd. They have worked together over the last several years to bring Metatera to what it is today. And his focus is uh, forging partnerships with companies around the world and global expansion. And he's the CEO of Bellator Life. Partnering with them is a Wall Street icon who is the CEO of Wall Street Capital Partners. His name is Mr. Douglas Anderson. He is the chairman and he is the executive partner with our company, Metatera. He is joined by a name that may be known in the financial field, Stephen Norris. These two men actually are almost institutions by themselves with the decades that they have had in the financial arena, the reputations they have for themselves. He's the founder of Cedar Capital. He's also the founder of the Carlyle Group, which is a massive powerhouse asset management company. He is advisor to numerous governments around the world. He has made a name and a reputation for himself internationally in high level finance. They're also joined by Russ Gerson of the Gerson Group. He also comes with years of experience within the financial arena. He was the vice chairman of the third largest banking conglomerate in the United States, Citigroup. And these gentlemen together are the ones that are forging. These men don't think in 3 to 5 years. These people think in decades, and they have decades of years of experience in this field. They're also joined by a world-class board of directors. Stephen Norris, he is perhaps the foremost economist here in the United States. People may know him. He's often on national TV when it comes to things like the budget and the economic affairs of this country and globally. He is the go-to person. That's the gentleman that in the first Trump administration, he was appointed to chair the Federal Reserve, but he wanted to stay in private office, and so he declined from that. People may know the name John Bear, Cellular One. He was at the beginning of cell phone technology. He is a technology mogul with expertise in technology infrastructure. He's the architect of streaming technology today that Netflix and Disney Plus, and so he's the one that has set the global standards for that. He's also the founder of Widevine. Some people may know that company. They built the technology that became the backbone of what is Google today. Monica Profit, she wrote the book Blockchain 101. We have a world-class team that in the area of finance and technology that our company stands on a very solid foundation. This can give us the confidence that when we are looking at building something for the future, we are with a team and we are partnering with them. And you're going to get to see that we are not we're not customers of this company. We are partnering. These are our business partners that we're going to partner with to build our financial futures. Together, under Bellator, Bellator is under the Metatera umbrella that forms the gateway to the Miracle ecosystem. And the Miracle ecosystem is a connected digital financial infrastructure. And the beauty of it and the uniqueness of it is that it's bridging traditional and the digital worlds of finance together, both finance and commerce. We call it the architecture of value. And it's a revenue sharing economic environment where participation, ownership, and enterprise come together to create value. It is the only digital financial infrastructure of its type in the world. It's the first of its type. And what they're bringing, what you're looking at here is a model of an economic environment of both finance and commerce. It is a group of interconnected companies across connected platforms that combines blockchain, payments, digital assets, AI, and financial tools into one unified system. It is, in fact, a decentralized digital economy, and it is banking and commerce in one place. We are the only crypto blockchain infrastructure in the world that has a core banking switch. These are important points to make because the only financial institutions that have a core banking switch are what they call tier one banks, which are central banks or huge banking conglomerates like JP Morgan and banks of that nature. But we have our core banking switch, which is just the transactional engine that runs the entire ecosystem, and it's what routes the movement of value in a coordinated way throughout the system, keeping everything in balance. What's important for us to bear in mind is that an ecosystem, a true ecosystem, is so interconnected that it functions in a unified manner. When one aspect of the system falls out, it sends ripples of imbalance throughout the system. So it's important that it stays connected and unified, and that's what our core banking switch affords us to be able to do. Now, I want you to imagine for a minute that you are owners within this ecosystem. You are owners of assets and infrastructure. That's huge because this is an ownership based. And remember, it's an environment, it's a revenue sharing environment, and it's built for participation. Whose participation? Those that own the infrastructure and assets within the system. Now, I want you to imagine for a minute that you, as a stakeholder, owning infrastructure here, that all of the services that this economy is providing to the world, because we are providing services across the globe, that everything that is happening within this economy, you actually are being paid or earning value from everything happening across it. Now, we can't go through everything, but let me just touch on some common things that to bring some understanding and perspective to it. We have a system called Miracle Pay, and it's how you pay for goods and services in your normal way that you do using your debit card or your credit card at a point of sale terminal in a store, in a grocery, in a restaurant, wherever. Imagine that every time that you tap your card or swipe your card, or in the case that the digital world we're in now, you have a digital wallet, you just tap your phone, and every time you do that, you're actually going to get paid for spending your money. Every time your family does that, your neighbor does that, every time everyone in your country and your state, every time everyone across the world, millions, billions of people, every time they do that, you actually receive a payment for it. Just imagine that. That alone can blow your mind. And you do that through our Miracle Wallet, which is a multi chain digital wallet. Imagine having an IBAN account, which banks offer IBAN accounts. We have a fully functioning on-chain bank account that links to your traditional bank. And so you can now interface transactions between the digital and the traditional economy. And every time transactions happen, you actually earn value from that. Imagine we have a system, it's called SCORE. SCORE, which we're introducing next month, is the first Web3 credit scoring facility of its type in the world. And it's built really to facilitate the unbanked, the billions of people that are unbanked in the world to give them. But when that system takes place. We have collateralized lending. We have trading systems, centralized and decentralized trading platforms. We have a fully functioning gaming arena, and games are still being added to it. Gaming is a huge industry. These are just a few of them, but just I want you to just imagine for a second that with all of this activity that's happening, and even more, that with all of it, because we are shareholders or stakeholders or asset owners within this system, as value flows throughout this economy, it circulates to all the participants. Why? Because it's an ownership based ecosystem. Now you may begin to get the picture where, when I say 100% of the people within this system succeed financially. Why? Because you can only be part of it through ownership. And once you have ownership, the way how it's built and designed, and because it's blockchain, which means it's immutable, it's transparent, everyone is going to prosper in it. And each one of these sectors can represent different streams of income. Now, some people may participate at different levels than others, but what you can be sure of is that everyone is going to be able to succeed financially. I am only going to touch or emphasize on these three, the Miracle Chain, Miracle Pay, and the Equi token, because they hold unique value for how it relates to us being able to build and own our financial future in ways that I can give you an idea of the potential that it has. So first, the Miracle Chain. The Miracle Chain is an institution or a business in and of itself. It forms the foundation and the platform that connects the entire ecosystem. The whole ecosystem runs on this. And but because is built to be enterprise ready, and because the world is now migrating commerce to blockchain, it's enterprise ready, meaning that we can accommodate, facilitate in businesses as they come on chain. It's built for individual participation because it is ownership based. And so we are not customers using their services. We are participants within the economy, bringing value to the economy, and that value circulates to us. And so this is the first aspect of it. This is the foundation of it all. This is a short video to give you an idea about our chain.
Welcome to the future of business. Miracle Chain, where blockchain meets automation and AI transforms how companies grow. Imagine onboarding customers with a tap, paying teams worldwide in seconds, and launching token ecosystems without writing a single line of code. With Iterato, your sales force becomes unstoppable. AI handles the follow-up, while gamification drives viral growth. Need to launch your own token? Miracle Launchpad and DEX give you everything: pre-sales, vesting, swaps, and full control. The Miracle Wallet simplifies finance. No seed phrases, just seamless access to crypto. Commissions and payments, secure, compliant, and easy to white label. And at the core, Miracle Chain. A private layer 2, built for scale, compliance, and automated global payouts. Whether you're selling online or in-store, Miracle Pay bridges fiat and crypto so you can do business anytime, anywhere. Miracle Chain. Powering the digital economy, one smart system at a time.
So our Miracle Chain, it has global interoperability, and it's bringing systems and structures at a time that the world is evolving into a new level, or it's crossing a new threshold of digital finance. And we are the first company of its type that's bringing solutions. Therefore, the ecosystem itself is bringing value to the world in a way that not only do we get to participate in, but we get to be able to own, leverage, and compound and steward all the value that's going to come to us. Beautiful, beautiful system. Now, all blockchain infrastructures are global. And the global infrastructure of a blockchain network is built on central processing units called CPU nodes. They are licensed software. And these nodes, they validate, record, and they secure every transaction across every sector of our ecosystem is being validated by a global network of computers. But because blockchain is decentralized in nature, meaning that there is no central authority that controls it, like it would in a banking system or, say, a credit card system, when you tap or swipe your cards, there are transaction fees, they're processed by CPU nodes, but in a central authority like Visa or MasterCard, and all the fees go into one place. This is different in that being decentralized, the global network are owned, they're owned by communities of people all across the globe. And this is where ownership can begin for us. We get to own the infrastructure through owning assets that the infrastructure is built on. Now, I want to share a short video with you of this gentleman. His name is Billy Warman. And interesting individual. He's well known in the crypto world. In fact, he's known as the node guy. And in this short, he says something about nodes. And why I'm sharing this with you is because I am going to show you the potential of being a node owner and owning infrastructure of our company, what it can mean for you and I, because what he says gives us a very good example. And so you will be able to relate it back to this. So listen carefully to what he's saying, because I'm going to reference this back right soon after.
Did make millions of dollars in crypto, but I don't trade crypto and I don't buy crypto. I make it. So
He don't trade crypto. He doesn't buy crypto. He makes it. Just want you to take note of that, because in the crypto world, when people hear crypto, they think, oh, no, 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 people lose so much money. That's the speculative side of it, where people are in the trading in the markets, they're buying, they're selling. He's not on that side of it. And what we're talking about is not on that side of it. Our ecosystem have our trading platforms, but whether you participate in that or not, it's purely a matter of preference.
I started making Bitcoin at $220. That in itself is crazy. So we started mining Bitcoin. We were making a lot of money. We were like, man, if Bitcoin ever gets to $10,000, we're going to be rich. This guy that was mentoring me, he was worth $100 million. I became one of his top guys. And at that time, I didn't know anybody worth that kind of money. It just sounds preposterous to the average person. For the next 7 years, I learned software instead of hardware mining. So when you mine Bitcoin, you have a physical piece of machine. You plug it into the network. It confirms transactions. You make Bitcoin. On the platform that we launched, which was a company called Gala Games, we worked with Snoop, the death row chain that Snoop gave me, kind of crazy. And instead of hardware, we had software. So these software nodes will confirm transactions on the blockchain. Every time you buy something on that blockchain, sell something, move some money back and forth, there's a fee. That fee goes up in the cloud and it's split evenly between the node owners. So that very first blockchain that we launched, I'm going to put 15,000 in. And for 2.5 years, those nodes just confirmed transactions. I had about 17 million tokens in my wallet. I watched it go from less than a penny to 5 cents, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 84 cents in a matter of like 5 months. So I went from $11,000 in software nodes to having over 11.4 million liquid currency.
Now, that may sound unbelievable for some people, but in the crypto world, only that type of thing is only possible in this world. Now, he would have had multiple nodes that he would have had. And what I want us to just remember from what he said there is how that process worked. Now, he was talking about nodes that he owned on a platform with Gala Games. It was just a gaming platform. That's all it was. Ours is an ecosystem that is far more expansive than beyond just gaming. And the token that we're talking about, which is native to our chain, is called the Phoenix token. The Phoenix token is a cryptocurrency that, in my estimation, I call it Bitcoin 2.0 because it carries value beyond what any cryptocurrency currently has out there. And so what's going to happen with this, the value of this, what's going to happen to it, I think is going to be remarkable. Our payment system and all the other systems that are bridging into the real world transactions where the Phoenix token is involved, the utility of it is so heavy. It is such a utility dense cryptocurrency, more density of utility than any cryptocurrency currently that exists on the market in ways that the other cryptocurrencies are not involved. And so that's what we're talking about. Those who are in the crypto world would understand what I'm getting at when I say that. That's the blockchain. Now let's look at Miracle Pay. Miracle Pay is our global payment system of which we have nodes connected to that because there are nodes connected to various aspects throughout our ecosystem. And it's a revolutionary payment platform that is designed where people can use debit cards or their digital wallets on their phones and make payments at terminals around the world or online payments. And so it seamlessly converts more than 200 types of cryptocurrencies into fiat currencies, instant conversion anywhere around the world. Take a listen to how it works.
You've probably heard the saying, if only I were early. Early to Bitcoin, early to Amazon, early to Tesla. Well, here it is again. But this time, it's not about hype. It's about owning the rails of a new financial system. Introducing CPU nodes, digital assets that earn daily from real crypto transactions happening worldwide. Every time someone pays with crypto, in-store or online, a small fee powers the network. And if you own a node, you get paid. These nodes are already paying every single day in a digital currency undervalued today, but set to explode in the months ahead. We've secured contracts with 4 global terminal providers, giving us access to over 100 million active merchants. And we're also integrated with major online retailers, processing billions each month. When even a small percentage of that volume transacts in crypto, node rewards skyrocket. The system is active. Payouts have begun. We're funding our aggressive expansion, not with Wall Street, but with everyday people like you. Together, we're decentralizing wealth by owning the new infrastructure of money. Timing is everything. Own a node now and earn every day for life.
So yeah, if we own the nodes relative to the payment system, every time transactions are done around the world, we're going to earn from that. Now, the 4 payment providers that was mentioned in the video, you can look for these names when you go into your grocery or you go to a restaurant or you go where you're going to tap your phone or insert or swipe your crypto card. Ingenico, Pax, Verifone, and NCR, those are the names that you will see on the devices. Those are not owned by the banks or the credit card companies. These are payment providers that offers the system. And Miracle Pay, our software, is now integrated into these 4 terminal providers, which account for about 80% or 85% of the global terminals around the world. Is over 160 million active merchants in over 150 countries that carry these terminals that our payment system is now being integrated in. If you go on to Ingenico and Pax, who are the 2 largest in the world, you'll see that we are partners with them on their website. Shopify, which has a large customer base as well, we are also they're also facilitating the Miracle Pay transactions online as well. And so between these 4 terminal providers, they do between 900 billion and 1.3 trillion in transactions a day, just between these 4. Now, I'm saying this for a reason because that will help us bring things into perspective when I give you an example of some numbers. 1 trillion might not sound like a lot because it's hard to have a perspective of a trillion, and 1 sounds like it's a little, but a trillion a day is a lot of money because if we spent $1 million every day, it will take us 2,740 years to spend $1 trillion at spending $1 million a day. And this is the kind of transactions that these people do in a day. So the first asset that you want to consider, which is an incredible asset to own. And we're going to talk here about building scalable and sustainable passive income. Remember, this is income that doesn't require your effort in order to happen. This is automated income, if you will, and it is being paid daily, 365 in perpetuity. This asset, there are two aspects to it that I'm going to share with you. I'm going to start with the second one first. Just like what you heard Billy said in that short, that he was making it, and it is the node generates the currency. In this case, the node is generating the Phoenix token. Its ticker is PNIC, and 80 Phoenix tokens a day. And I just want to just do something very quickly. If it's 80 a day and we multiply that by 365, that's 29,200 tokens a day. Now, if the value of the Phoenix token was to even go to 50 cents, right now it's half of a penny. If, as the global adoption takes place, which is happening right now, our payment system was launched globally in February. It was launched, and it's as it goes through its adoption, and let's say it gets to just even only 50 cents in value. That's $14,600 that you would have earned in a year just from the coins that your node is producing every day. Well, let's just say that 29,600 in a year, let's say you held it for a year, because we're talking about building something for the future. And so I want to suggest to you, as we do with our partners, that you want to consider a 24 to 36 month of building for your future. So let's say you accumulated your tokens for 3 years, for example. So I'm going to multiply the 29,600 by 3. That is 88,800 tokens you would have accumulated in 3 years. And if you understand the value of the utility of this token, when you look at the value of cryptocurrencies on the market now that have no utility at all to them, it is a no-brainer to know that the Phoenix token, let's say in 3 years, the value it could carry could be quite substantial, but I'm going to be what I think to be conservative and say, let's say that it only reached, say, maybe $20 in value by that time. And so if you multiply that by 20, that's almost $2 million you would have accumulated in that period of time from the coins that your node is producing and generating on a daily basis. Now, just think about that for a minute. You have an asset that you own for life. It's secured and it's contractually owned and it's on the blockchain. When you own something on the blockchain, it's immutable and it's more secure than a piece of paper that's lodged somewhere. And you have this asset is producing a currency and you're being paid in a currency that's actually increasing in value as opposed to being paid in a fiat currency that decreases in value. In addition to that, your passive income, because of, remember, this is tied to the global payment systems. And we're going to just use, again, conservative numbers. So let's say is over 160 million merchants, but let's take 5% of 100 million merchants, and that's 5 million merchants, and we're only talking about in-store, we're not talking about online. And we're going to just, for example and entertainment purposes, say that each merchant is going to do $300 a day in crypto transactions. That is actually less than 1% of what those 4 merchants do in a day right now, less than 1%. So that you're looking at $1.5 billion in daily transactions among these 5 million merchants. Miracle Pay has a transaction fee of 2% of that 1.5 billion, which is 30 million. That's Miracle Pay's fee. The nodes they earn between 10 to 30% of that 30 million transaction fee. I'm going to take the lower part of it, which is 10% of the 30 million, which is 3 million. And out of that 3 million, 20% of it goes to the network community. Again, value flows to all who participate. And I'll tell you how that comes into play. So 20% of the 3 million is 600,000. And when you take that away, you're left with 2,400,000. That is shared equally among the 210,000 nodes. This particular Miracle Pay node, there are only going to be 210,000 of them that will ever be available. They went onto the market last year in 2025. I won't be able to say how many of them are still available, but that's how much when they're gone, they're going to be gone. So you're looking at that 2.4 million into 210,000 nodes is $11.43 a day. Now, a person may say, what kind of money is that? But you have a one-time payment for a one-time asset that's building you substantial wealth on one side and paying you passively. $11. How much would you if you had $30,000 on a bank sitting, you won't even get $11 in interest in a year. So you have to look at it in context. But this is only 5% adoption. So you're talking about $300 a month. $300 a month can make a difference. But what if while you're going through your building phase and accumulating your tokens, what if by the time you get to your 36 months, this is now 15%? How much passive income do you have? An extra $1,000 a month coming in passively? What if that is now 2030 and 20% has adopted to the world and you have that coming in passively? And by the way, this Miracle Pay, it continues to produce tokens every day for how long? In perpetuity. It never stops producing the currency. And you will, as for the existence of the time that our company exists, you will always keep restating. As long as people are buying goods and services around the world every day, you're going to have that. Now, if that doesn't blow your mind in terms of potential of owning something that's global, this is incredible. Then the final part, EquiToken. EquiToken, why this is so important, because tokenizing real world assets is the engine that's driving the entire financial industry today. The principles that be and the powers that be says that in the next 3 to 5 years, all assets on all markets across this planet are going to be tokenized. And tokenizing is where they take real world assets and they secure them and custody them on chain with proof of ownership. This is where normal things like property and stocks, bonds and gold, they're converted into digital form. And it's called fractional ownership. You can have a building that's converted into many digital pieces, and you can just own a fraction of it, and you own that value. What can you do with that? You can sell it, you can trade it, you can use it as collateral within an ecosystem like ours, or within a bank as collateral to get a loan. It's bona fide, legitimate owning of assets that you have. And so how that works is, rather than you have a property that you have to spend months to get it to sale, months of a transaction, thousands of dollars in fees that you have to pay, when it's broken down into fractional pieces, it can be sold to people across the world in an instant with almost no fees. The entire world is gravitating towards this. And when you look into the whole idea of tokenization, you'll understand why the very wealthy of the world are now looking to tokenize their assets. You can own another node that we have. It's called a Project X node. That earns you about 200 Phoenix a day. Plus, you get a 6% dividend on all tokenized projects for how long? in perpetuity for as long as our company are tokenizing real world assets. And right now we have three of the largest tokenized projects in the world, in Africa, in Saudi Arabia, and Romania. And that information is out there, you can get that. And so to conclude this part of it, I'm just going to let you listen to just a 2.5 minute clip of our chairman on an interview on the NASDAQ.
I'm with the CEO of Wall Street Capital, Doug Anderson. Doug, welcome back. And I understand you have some news to break.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Wall Street Capital Partners has been around almost 30 years now. And I can't think of a better place and a better person to announce this news to. It's very exciting, a first in our history. But we have opened a new subsidiary, Wall Street Capital Partners Asset Strategies. And this new subsidiary is majority owned by Metaterra Holdings, which is associated with another company, which we know is Miracle Pay and Miracle Chain. Now, what does Miracle Pay, what are they known for? As I've explained before on this program, they are experts and leaders at payment systems for crypto. So using your wallet, paying with your phone, transactionally from POS machines and over the internet. So they're the leaders in that. There's another thing they do. They do tokenization. So they're experts at that. And as you know, we're now focused on tokenizing one of the largest real-world assets in the world, which is an airport in Bucharest. We're working hard at that. But there's another one that may even eclipse that, which is we're going to announce right now. It's very exciting. It's called a TINU token, after the founder of a very strong, probably one of the fastest growing companies in Africa that's very successful, an oil and gas company called Owando. And its founder and chairman and group leader is Wale Tinubu. So Tinubu token. And what this token represents is an African fund. We're tokenizing an African fund that is going to be backed by very substantial real-world assets out of.
Okay, I'm going to just stop it there. But the reason why I wanted to hear this is because I wanted everyone to be aware of the connection with Africa and the fund that they're creating, which is in fact a stable coin or a cryptocurrency that is going to be backed by real world assets in Africa, beginning with very large oil reserves by the Owando company. Owando happens to be a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company as well. But one of the things I wanted us to be aware of is, because it's going to be the first of its type in the world, a stable coin backed by real world assets starting with oil and will eventually other assets within Africa, that is going to be something that I believe the world is going to hear about, because that is so substantial and so significant, not just because it's the first of its type of a cryptocurrency that our company is creating and bringing to the world, but what it's going to mean for the African nation and the issues that they have with the value of a lot of their currencies. So that's something that we want to look out for, because I think we can be hearing more and more about that as we evolve into the future and that connection with Africa. So the node assets that are available for you to consider are these four. There are more nodes that will be coming. These are the ones that are available now. There's some that were there that no longer available. We have a farm node for $99. A farm node really is, you can call it a fraction of a Miracle Pay node. It takes 14 of these farm nodes to actually equal the payment potential of a Miracle CPU node. Well, you heard about the Project X node. The Project X node is tied to all tokenizing projects. Miracle Pay node is tied to the payment systems. The Guardian node, it's tied to the security protocol of the chain, and it's involved in a whole array of transactions across the chain, making it an even more valuable asset to own. There is a pre-IPO package special that they've had on, which has been recently, it's been extended. And because the government shutdown, it has put the IPO back a bit. And so the company extended these offers where if you buy one Guardian node, you get one free, you buy three, you get three. Now, if you consider what they call the starter package, 2 Miracle CPU nodes, and 3 Project X nodes. That's 2,400 plus 48, 7,200, and you're getting that for $3,000. Together, they're producing approximately 25,000 tokens in a month. Imagine that you're producing that, and that was even at 50 cents of value. Let's say that by now on Christmas, it was even 50 cents of value, and you're producing 25,000 of those tokens in a month. Think of that value, not to mention what they pay out additionally to that. So I just saying that you can look at the value of what it is. So that's why I said earlier on that we're not talking about earning additional income. This is some kind of a side hustle that you have to put out a lot of time and effort to hopefully gain that. This is about building something substantial for the future. The second package, it is 3 Miracle Pay nodes, 3 Project X nodes, and 1 Guardian, and that is for 5,500. And the final package, 7 CPU nodes, 4 Project X, and 2 Guardian nodes, and that happens at 99. The Project X node, I should say that right now, it's this on its own is the regular price is 1,600. It is 1,300 if you bought a single Project X node right now. That is, and these prices, that price of the 1,300 here, and these specials, I think that runs until next week Monday, and then these specials would be gone. You won't have that anymore. Now, just to conclude now, because we have a community that participates within an ecosystem, we have what the company calls an AI leveraged asset-driven digital income network, Aladdin for short. And it's how we reward our community for expanding the community. So we invite people, and if you're a guest on, you were invited to participate in the economy. And by owning an asset that's going to serve you throughout your years to come, just by owning that asset and participating in the economy, you're bringing more value in. All who own are bringing value because just the functioning of your assets is going to be creating value in ways that we don't have the time to go into. And the more value that flows in, the more value circulates to all. It's called collective prosperity. So we are inviting people not to join the business and not to be, so it's not your traditional network marketing type of a business where you're coming in to hustle and that your income is based on recruiting, your income is based on monthly, your income is based on the assets that you own. And your participation in how you scale and grow your income inside the economy increases the value, and we collectively share by everyone. My increased value helps your increased value. So there's no monthly sales, no constant recruiting, no monthly auto ships, no attrition, and it doesn't have those traditional frictions, as I call it, of the network marketing. It is a peer-to-peer value sharing network where we invite people to come and participate within a system that will help you to secure your financial future, to help to build it, to help to design it, to help to dream again, to help to pull those things that we buried because we were locked into a system that limited us financially. We can now begin to think about that in a very different way. Once you, and this is optional, you don't have to participate. There are many people who are part of the ecosystem. They just own their assets and they just get their passive income. And some people are very contented with that, and that's very fine. And then there are those of us like myself. I mean, when you begin to experience what this thing is, you will want to share it with others, particularly if you see that they have that need. And so there are 5 optional streams of income that comes to those of us who are actually working through that referral-based program. And where does the income come from? The value flows right back into the network community. 20% of the node earnings, as I mentioned earlier, 50% of service fees flows right back in to help those who are actually building and expanding the community and increasing the participation. And for those who may think, well, this is out of reach for people because maybe you can't afford a $99 node, maybe you can't afford a CPU node for $1,200. But the company, the heart of the company is to reach people and give the average person an opportunity. And that's really the heart of Hakan Toran, the visionary that started this back in 2017. And so you can register, have an account for free. You can have your back office, which is your full suite of information. You can learn and earn as you learn how this ecosystem works and the value of it. And if you share it with others and 4 new partners purchase their assets and begin to participate, you now can become an active participant within the system yourself. And so everyone can begin to participate, even if you have nothing to begin with. You can just learn how it is, share that value with people, and you can now begin to build your own assets that way. And so I want to welcome each and every one of our guests this evening. I want to say thank you for taking the time for being here. Bellator Life is the gateway to this people-powered growth, a community that is based on ownership of assets within a system that is sound, that is solid, and it's global. And we are shifting out of this centralized plantation economy that we mentioned in the beginning. And I'm inviting you to join a revolution where ownership, technology, and people come together for shared prosperity. This is not something that our company is doing in isolation. This is a seismic shift that's happening across the globe today, and we just happen to be in the forefront of it, and we have first mover advantage. And so with that, I extend that invitation, and I want to be the first to say welcome aboard. And the partner who invite you to look at this, they can guide you forward on what would be your next step, or how you can get your registration in and begin moving towards your participation in the economy. With that, I'm going to leave you with this message from our company. This is just a short 2-minute video. This is my wife's favorite video, I like to say, but it's also my favorite video because it really does speak to the heart of our company.
Tonight, look around this room. Look at the people next to you. Everything we see started with a dream shared by us. This year, we didn't just work. We built a new world together. With your dedication, we powered the Miracle Chain. We gave life to Mirex and Phoenix. Every node acted today is a testament to our collective intelligence. We saw the invisible. Metaterra is vision. Through Bellator, you proved that the strongest currency is trust. We built a clean, powerful family. Not a hierarchy, but a brotherhood of leaders. This success belongs to every single one of you. Metaterra is unity. We broke barriers with Miracle Pay. Because of your passion, financial freedom is no longer a concept. It is a reality we delivered to the world. Metaterra is freedom. And look how far we've come, to beyond Bucharest. We are physically shaping the skyline, building an airport, a landmark, a history with our own hands. This is the mark we leave on the earth. Metaterra is legacy. But above all, your hard work turned into kindness for those in need. That is our true heart. So tonight, raise your glasses to what we've built and the giants we are becoming. Metaterra is goodness. Metaterra, the future is ours.
Metaterra, shaping the future of finance.